Pennsbury High School, the Falcons roster coming in, taking on South Plainfield High School Cyber Tigers in our first of two matches today. A possible third in between, but of course not confirmed just yet. Nerds, our first match, any opening thoughts from you?
Well, I'm excited to see it. Both of these teams have been playing in our league so far. Pennsbury Falcons 2-0 in the standings, leading the charge, and the Cyber Tigers looking to get that 1-1 right now to even things out in the playing field. As they're 0-1, they've lost their first matchup. They're looking to find something. So we don't know too much about the teams just yet, but there's a lot to be hopeful for. As we already see, like I said, the Pennsbury Falcons up there 2-0, wins 100%. Wow.
They're looking pretty clean, if I do say so myself. The other side, of course, you only see one match from the Cyber Tigers. So they're 0-2 in terms of maps, 0-1 in terms of matches. They're looking to turn that around this week. Now, that one bye they had, obviously not the most desirable of things for them, but there are 9 teams here in the EGFH Group 1. This is only a Group 1, by the way. There's a total of, if I recall, 40 different teams between 5 different groups.
Yeah.
Take a look at our maps that we'll play in our first match today. A spoiler alert, some brand new maps to the pool. I cannot believe we are seeing Ascent, Haven, and Icebox. Oh my goodness, I'm so surprised.
Well, they're the staples of Valorant. We see them a lot, and I think this early on into this into the split, it makes sense for these teams to be going back to something that they are more comfortable with. And Ascent, Haven, and Icebox, I think we can almost all unanimously agree are some of the staples of Valorant, specifically Ascent and Haven being some of the first maps in the game. Ascent being the classic 3 lanes, B, mid, A splits, and Haven being the first tactical FPS map to have 3 sites on it.
Yeah, and you have to look at Icebox as the third. I personally, Icebox was my favorite map, is now like second or third right now, mainly because Fracture and Pearl exist. Lotus is right up in that same conversation. But looking at a lot of these maps, I say this is a PSA to any high school or college team that exists under any circumstances. Learn Lotus or Fracture, and you will open up a series 1-0.
Oh, 100%. It's one of those maps that takes extreme coordination. We've seen some crazy outplays on Fracture specifically. I personally really enjoy it, especially if you have a good team and you can communicate effectively. It's the reason that a lot of people like Ascent, Haven, and Icebox is that it's very easy for a team to start off on it. Like I was saying a bit earlier, that you are starting off the split a little bit newer. You want to see some of the chemistry with your teammates, work out some of those potential issues in communication, and really coordinate yourselves against the enemy. Although, I don't know. Icebox is also, I feel like Icebox does take some coordination. Not always, but sometimes you need to be coordinated to win out on that map.
I mean, coordination helps in any respect, especially when you're playing on what is such a normal map for teams. You can have as much gun skill as you please, but if the other team has some spatial awareness, you're going to lose a lot of those gunfights. It's purely set up better than you are. I want to take a look at our compositions, mainly because compositions are such a contentious point on Ascent. There is only Killjoys for Sentinels on either team. Brimstone versus Omen in the controller conversation. KOs, the Reyna versus the Jet. Reyna I'm a little surprised about, but I have actually seen Maddox play on the Reyna before. The big conversation point, I actually want to ask you about this. The Sova versus the Fade. You have information from both, one closer range than other. Do you say Fade on every map, or specifically on Ascent for the time being?
For the time being, because of some of the nerfs to Sova, I would say that it does make sense to have Fade, especially because the Fade lineups, as they're developing, they're a little bit harder to predict. And if you can come up with your own custom lineups for her as well, you have a lot of potential there. But I do feel kind of biased towards Sova. As a Slav myself, seeing another fellow Slavic man in a video game makes me really hyped, right? You know, it's just his utility has kind of been read into. A lot of people expect the lineups, the Sova darts going into the back of B site to clear out maybe either CT or market. Like they're aware of all those lineups. They're aware of potential fakes. He's been around for the beginning of the game, which means that there's a lot that you know about him and a lot unknown about Fade, which is why I would say Fade on Ascent is slightly better, especially if you have those lineups. But we'll see what Nick can do as they are going to be pushing through B main.
That's basically my exact point. If you have lineups, Fade's better. If you don't and you're just playing at an elementary level, Sova is probably your better option.
Yeah.
Easier to have consistent impact on the Slav, as you mentioned. Indications here for South Plainfield, they want to go towards B. There is a decent bit of utility here to hold them off. Matt, most notably, with that utility. There's a first kill, a decent bit of damage done with the shock darts as well from the side. And there's a follow-up from Chaotic Lee. The open 2 kills go away of this Pensbury defense, and South Plainfield sent packing.
A great hold. They're not going to let him go through that choke point, stalling them out. I mean, that's the thing. You got to be explosive. That's why we have it. Maddox, like you said earlier, you were looking at him. He's got 1 now, too, and gets the 3rd to clean things up near the end.
Maddox, the opening and closing there to really create so much space in mid, make sure that South Plainfield had to look 17 different directions, mainly long range versus short range, but still an impactful conversation, and a nice 3K just to add insult to injury there for the Cyber Tigers. The opening round goes the way of Pensbury's defense. Now, some big notes here. They are on the defensive side, of which is technically the favored side at about this level of play, and this is their map selection. Combine those 2 facts with them winning the pistol round, and you have a very dangerous combination of circumstances, all of which going up against the Cyber Tigers.
It's just the beginning, though. There is a lot of potential as we see some fighting already. The smoke to clear them and push them away. They're not going to just push that haphazardly. Tells them there's at least 1 person there. That spray down to destroy the Haunt and the Prowler tells Nick everything they need to know, that there's at least 1 player there, but they're still going to be going to peek it. The fight ensues. There's the spike down. Maddox is able to grab 1. Dodging the KO knife. They stay. I mean, they still have their utility. He goes in, gets 1 more. He's going to be greedy, and he is not going to be put out of position. That's the power of the Reyna, but 1 player's down, and that is going to be a gun in the hands, or hopefully a gun in the hands of the Cyber Tigers.
I think you only got a ghost. I don't even think they can pick up a full gun there. Yeah, no, it was just a ghost. That's it. So even with Cyber Tigers picking up that kill, they don't have much to work with. Low HP for Nick. They are basically a bait at this point. Spike plant, best case scenario, I think, here for the Cyber Tigers in this round. Follow up, that does find a decent bit of information. Matt is found, the C's thrown, that should land, but not before Matt drops Nick with a headshot from long range. And a 2v4 with only pistols. Maddox with another 3K. It's down to the CEO, and the Killjoy finds a whole lot of thin air. Maddox with 7 kills in 2 rounds.
Maddox is doing such a good job balancing the aggression and the pull away. You know, the Reyna utility is so powerful that Dismiss to go into a sticky situation and get out of there. Unfortunately, having to bait Dresky in that situation, well, I mean, I would say it worked out for them in the long run, but Dresky did go down in that situation. It does give Maddox not only a huge lead in the score, but his ultimate on the line. And the way that they position themselves is so nice. Dipstick was really aware of their positioning, that they might get pinched throwing that knife out, but unfortunately the flanker, the other KO, you know, KO main, respect other KO mains, they know, hey, there's the knife, we gotta fall back, not give away our position, and the pinch, regardless of the situation, whether Maddox was able to get it, the pinch would have gone out and taken out that final player. But let's see them push this A site.
We're gonna try Maddox Spectre Spray. Suppressed weapons do not give off tracers, by the way. At least not to your opposing team. You can see them from yourself. And the Cyber Tigers need to make a decision. At this point, the indecisiveness could cost them. They do seem to want to go back towards B. The problem is, there's still a whole lot of Killjoy utility on that side. Quick rotations from both the Killjoy and the Sova, of whom resides in Defender Spawn. And South Plainfield, they're just slowly rotating over. The longer they take to make a decision, the easier it is for Pensbury to switch up their focus. That recon bolt in towards mid will solidify that for the time being it was clear, but here comes South Plainfield looking to encroach on that exact same position.
And the indecisiveness is also I think it's kind of, I would say, compounded by the fact that there aren't as many lineups from that fade. And like I was saying, you're not going to find, like you were saying, and we were talking about earlier, you're not going to find as much impact with it as the site take is already going to commence. Sova, the Slav, not able to find anything just yet, but Jat holds the market push. He's able to take down Maddox with a trade coming out instantly for Matt. 9 seconds left for them to get the plant. They do get it off, so they're going to get that money, but are they going to be able to secure the round? There's the drone coming out to spot anyone, and the CEO covering the flank to make sure that they're not going to get pinched this time. You know that there's at least one player there. The peak goes out on low HP. Matt takes down the CEO, the better killjoy in that situation. Nick with the trade right off the bat. There's one player left in Nick with low HP. Initiator combo wins out. Sova takes him down, and that is going to be a third round for the Falcons. They were able to take out Maddox, though, one of the top players for their team.
Multi-dimensional retake as well there for the Pensbury Falcons. They re-engaged from 3 separate scenarios. Originally, it was from, well, market, CT, and then B main, where they were able to drop the CEO out of contention fairly quickly. When you're focused on multiple different points of view, you can't win a lot of those fights. That's originally what happened with the CEO. They were already low as well, so it was a fairly easy fight for Matt. And then after dropping out the Killjoy, they were able to focus on the site itself. They went from catwalk, they went from stairs, almost at the exact same time, making sure there was no safe haven, ironically our second map, there for the Cyber Tigers, and they walk away with a round victory.
And I think that it's just, you're not finding as much value out of the fade. You're not finding as much value out of the KO. I think the pop flashes and lineups are super useful to have. And then when you coordinate them with your team, you could do a lot of damage. Although so far they've managed to get onto site, but not hold it. Matt and Chaosity able to get one of their own. The CEO for the trade, but it's one player left already. How much damage are they going to do with the Spectre? 15 HP and a Dream.
To survive this. I was about to say they're gonna get sprayed through the wall as soon as you audibly drop. There's not much of a safe haven, I'm gonna say it again, for you on that site. Pensbury, clean follow-up round as well, making sure they do what needs to be done, and they don't lose all that much. Losing 2 players, not the end of the world. There's the whole school of thought, if you keep 3 players or more alive, you start to increase your economy. 2 or less, then you start to lose it. They're looking good, continues.
I was gonna say it was a save round for them mainly, so they were trying to get that spike down to get the plant money, and hopefully, mummy, like, you know, coming from the dead, right? You gotta come alive. I mean, if there's a sage on any of the sides, that could work out. But this is again where we're gonna start seeing this B site take, a really fast play. Dipstick able to trade Matt out.
You do find at least one, and they will fully clear the site. This null command will make sure that the retake is fairly delayed, but the Empress is popped fairly quickly just the same. Dipstick, the aggression, flash around the corner, doesn't land, but the aggression in towards market does. The opening kill onto Chaotically in the retake itself, a follow-up from the CEO, as Maddox is clotheslined in that Empress form. A flash to possibly save it. There's one, looking for a follow-up towards market. Pyro will find it, a 2 versus 4, down to a 1 versus 1. The CEO needs to be the hero, instead will become the anti-hero, part of the Taylor Swift album themselves, and Pensbury will walk away with a 5th straight round.
Amazing retake on site, just being able to push in piece by piece. But I will say it was really good for the Cyber Tigers there as well. They got a majority of the players down and out, so that's going to hurt their economy, make it at least the bare minimum expensive for them, as now it's not maximum credits for Dresky. He's going to buy for one of their fallen teammates and foes, but they are not able to win out, so they haven't picked up some of these rounds. It is starting to look dire. A broken buy for them as well, with 2 players going for those Spectres and 2 Sheriffs to boot. But that's the thing. If they're going to keep stumbling in those final moments, if they can't come together against the retake, it's not going to work out. And it was also, they got to the site and took a lot of space based off of that null command, that ultimate from Dipstick. It's really powerful, and it's really good to clear out the majority of the site. But if that's the factor that gives them the site and gives them all that space, how are they going to keep playing out in those future rounds?
Can't rely on ultimates. They should just excel your already advantageous positions. Well-placed fragment towards the backside of Wine Cellar. A 2-for-2 trade overall. The problem is they still need to get onto the site itself. And with a return fragment towards main, they don't have an easy way on. Jat does have those blades out. But again, this stall factor is still coming through. Good dark cover used towards the backside of Heaven. A follow-up 0 point will at least shut out that tree position for the time being, allowing them to close the door. So the site has fallen, sure. The problem is, can you hold it up against a third consecutive retake? That's the real question.
The retakes are really strong, and the counter utility going out from Matt. He has that lockdown available to them. And this is where we're starting to see, again, even more value out of the Sova. The drone gives you so much information to clear at least one of those corners. Pyro starting the defuse, and pros don't fake. They're going to try and be a nuisance. Half already taken. Shock dart goes... Oh, sorry. Recon dart going out to find them. They're ready for it, but this is going to go in favor of the Cyber Tigers as Bubbles is able to take out Matt near the end there. And this is a slow change of pace. They won a round. It took them 5 to get there, but they're able to win a round. That's going to give them not only the economic advantage, but also the mental advantage here, hopefully, to get some more rounds.
They say baby steps, and at least a first step has now been taken by South Plainfield. I like the setup for them in that post-plant. They were aware of the possibility for the lockdown. I thought Bubbles was going to use From the Shadows to cancel out the efficacy of the lockdown, where you use the From the Shadows and then you cancel it after the lockdown pops, so you can go back to your previous position without actually being detained. That is a mechanic, by the way. Look it up. Very fun. Instead, they actually fully complete, and instead they fully set up the flank as well.
Oh.
It worked out for him. Maddox, still close range, has support. The CEO is just waiting, and they overswing and immediately die. Not the greatest of starts, but the B site's the call, and that may not be the greatest of starts either. Matt, a follow-up, a 2 versus 5 in the first 30 seconds of the round, adding insult to injury for an already disadvantageous South Plainfield side.
There's that Hunter's Fury coming out, leaving one player left, Maddox, getting caught out of position. Nick is able to grab him. It was a really interesting play here. They were calling for a fake, right? They were going towards A, having the Killjoy go out there, providing some information to the enemy team, like, hey, Maddox calls, like, hey, there's one player here, dismissing out, not wanting to get the refrag, right? You don't want to die out in that situation, get caught off guard, but they're all going on to B. It's just the decisiveness. I think the Falcons instantly, as soon as they had any pushback on B, it's a fake, instantly rotated off and managed to get and catch them in a off position. That decisiveness to call something and push on it is going to be really good for them. There we see 2 ultimates going out to counter each other. The null command already in the hands of Dipstick.
They do suppress down Matt. I don't know if Matt's going to be able to get out here. They should be detained. No, instead they will avoid that full radius of the lockdown, the immediate re-engagement, and a 1-for-1 trade. This favors the Pennsbury Falcons every day of the week. The aggression's still playing in their favor, and a 1v4 now for Dipstick with a Vandal and a Dream, of which may very soon become a nightmare. They're stuck inside a main. They do find a return kill, but it's still them versus 3, and they're even suppressed. This is just not looking good. There's no easy avenue of attack for them, and even if they do decide to go, there's 3 players and 3 different angles they have to find.
Slow and steady wins the race. Dipstick does have that ultimate, and he knows the position of 1. That's the thing, he fires, so he's giving away his position, and Dresky knows exactly where he is. And in a 1v3 situation, it's so difficult to play off against them, but especially against a team that has such good coordination. Whether you peeked out there and swung really aggressively, there was one market, there was one on site. Even if you could take out Dresky, there's still a really good pinch right there for Falcons. They had it secure, and they were capable of pinpointing exactly where Pyro was. Or Dipstick.
I have a sneaking feeling that Pennsbury may very well run away with this map. The Cyber Tigers, they decide to buy here. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a full fan of it. I do think there's a little bit of money behind this, but still investing when you haven't even had good rounds off the back of full investments, maybe not the best of decisions. Null command again used, but this is the obvious beacon saying we're going this way. Matt already here looking to try and drop them, does a decent bit of damage and able to drop down Bubbles as well. Already a 3 versus 5, assuming they cannot restabilize that core. An orbital strike just to solidify that kill, but the aggression is overly aggressive just the same. A first kill and a follow-up as well. That should do it, and it does indeed.
Yeah.
Nick is taken care of, and a clean finish for the Falcons.
Giving themselves away so quickly with the null command and then the retake coming out so effortlessly. They had the better weaponry. As soon as they realized that they were on stingers and sheriffs, they just pushed in really aggressively where they could, if they could make space in a certain area. They did manage to get onto site, but not secure any plants because of the efforts of the Falcons. And I'm starting to kind of see why they picked this map, and also starting to see why they're 2-0 in our standings, leading the charge so far. They have what it takes and the aggression necessary to win out against most of the teams they play against, but also the decisiveness in their calls to make the smart play and not just peek out. And I remember earlier we were talking about the Reyna plays from Maddox. Like Reyna, normally we see Jet to blast through those choke points and really aggressively take that space, but it seems to be working out. Maybe a call because they're going to be starting on defense, knowing that, hey, Maddox is going to play really well on defense as that Reyna, being able to get that early first blood and push off. Dresky is the one to get the first blood, though, as he opens things up for the Falcons.
It's again an opening kill that has not been immediately traded, so long-term advantages now just doubled up. Dipstick's on 10 HP, a well-placed short breeze will take them out of contention. I don't see very long for them to live in this world. Jat will look to aggress from a different angle and has some support to do so. Maddox waiting inside a tree. Dresky here as well. Dresky at least falls at first, but Maddox, there's an immediate follow-up, and they just back away. There's no reason for the Falcons to over-aggress here. Pyro finding Dipstick as that smoke dissipates. It's down to Jet in a 1v4. They find a inconsequential kill, and then the Falcons find the closing. 9-1 now for Pensbury.
It's almost difficult to it's just hard to fathom how powerful they are as a team together. And when you look at the spread of the KDA, it's not all Maddox leading the charge. Dresky and Matt are there helping and supporting, and that just goes to show, like, hey, Pyro's doing their job with 5 assists. They're able to get those flashes, get them out of position, and help their teammates initiate fights. The Sentinel and the Controller using their utility as well to play with Maddox, to play and be aggressive when they need to. Just catches a glimpse, just a small little pixel, and he's able to read into that. Dresky, with the game sense, is able to get one, the first blood. Wow.
If I had $1 for every time that Pensbury won an opening duel, I'd be able to retire by the end of next week, and it wouldn't even be that difficult.
Yeah,
Bubbles.
I mean, makes sense. They're really good at taking those duels, and confidence in...
Most notably, they're good at taking the duels and then playing around their advantages. For instance, in that scenario, they had 2 people swing off the back of that exact same flash. The weird part, now for Cyber Tigers, is what do? The answer, apparently die in B main with absolutely no assistance. And now you're stuck in a 3 versus 5. You're walking onto the more defended of the 2 sites. Pyro playing through the window looking towards tree will do a little bit of damage and find out all 3 players currently reside around that angle. A 0-point lands, sure, but only onto Pyro, an inconsequential one to say the very least, and Dresky decides that he doesn't want to play this round anymore. A casual 4K from the back of site, and 10 rounds for the Falcons. The first half has yet to come to a conclusion.
It almost seems as though Jat and Dipstick are not able to coordinate to get through those choke points. And Dresky and Maddox are so good at taking advantage of that and getting a lot of free space. On A site, they've just consistently taken so much of that A main space and control early on. And that, look where Bubbles is playing. It's conditioned them to be like scared almost, not wanting to push out. They read for a mid play and use that ultimate, see if they can catch them off guard, but it doesn't work out. Maddox is able to grab Dipstick with that operator. Are they double opping? Yes, it seems as though they're double opping. I mean, they have the economy for it, and it is going to be the final round here.
Looks like they're just going to back away as well. Re-engagement from Heaven. Maddox, the second of the two operators, does find a first. A second is a possibility, but he's caught in the seas. Limited mobility and limited health means a clean kill. The shorty from around the corner, the CEO may very well end up getting knifed. They switch back to the Guardian, down to one shot, will not be caught in the lockdown, and it's down to a 2v1. The Falcons may very well have thrown away whatever possibility of a lead they had, at least in this round itself. The CEO does get out of that lockdown, but as soon as they go into mid, they should be taken out. They won't go into mid. Good decision.
No, they're gonna rotate to B, hopefully. I mean, it is a really tense round between both of these teams, but if they can at least get the plant off, it'll, or maybe even win this round in a 1v2 situation. It's gonna give them some confidence. Spike is going to be going down with a couple seconds left on the clock for them. They're going to need a reposition before the utility goes out, and this is where we're going to see the Sova drone getting tagged up and spotted out. They're just going to be shot through those paper thin walls on ascent, but an operator to a Guardian. If you miss that shot, you have Matt on the back end there to stop and help.
Serious question. Why do they decide to put the alarm bot back in attacker spawn when they know within the next 8 seconds they're going to be out of the effective radius and the alarm bot's going to be inconsequential to the rest of the round? Why wouldn't you instead put it on like catwalk or something just to make sure you only have to look one way?
I feel like it's a very, I think it was just a very tense situation between them. They wanted to ensure that no one was going to sneak up on their back line and get chased down. I think a lot of teams chase down their enemies as well, especially when they have such a substantial lead, 10-1. They're confident. They're not really worried about losing a round, making it 10-2. So the thought process there is, if I'm going to be chased down from the back, I mean, I might as well cover it with something. But again, I don't know. I feel like it might be a misplay.
Something that you look back on and say, I can learn from that. That's the biggest note. And the Cyber Tigers have a whole season to learn.
I was going to say, this is only week 3, so there's a lot more room for growth for these teams, and that's what we kind of like to see here at EGF. We want to see people grow. We want to see people push through, whether it's in high school or collegiate, or even from high school to collegiate as they progress on their academic journey. That being said, Bubbles was able to take out Maddox. He's not going to pop off early.
Not in the easiest of ways, at least. The door should be closed, so A site has fallen. Spike will be planted, and a 4v3 favors the Falcons, of whom have just gotten that spike plant down. The alarm bot planted on that flank will not allow for an easy flank setup here for the Cyber Tigers. They want to go with a full 3-pronged attack. They're going to try the trident of retakes. The problem is, all of which is being held off. Heaven by 2 players, that door by the door itself, and then of course the flank through main. Of course, that's being watched courtesy of the Killjoy herself. All the utility in the world to clear that out of position. Bubbles will drop in, immediately taken out from Hell. A follow-up is there from Nick, but that may be all that matters. The CEO is left alone in a 1 versus 3, has very far from the time required to get that spike diffuse off. All the right clicks miss. Maybe a melee comes through. No, the CEO will die anyway, but they will take Matt with them.
And that is going to be the threat of match point looming over, 12-1. I mean, the Falcons are looking to keep their map differential 2-0. They want to be consistently asserting their dominance early on. South Plainfield High, Cyber Tigers going to force up. They're still debating on exactly what weaponry to buy, but in this situation, yeah, you kind of have to force. You need to be playing flawlessly every single round from here on to have the potential of winning.
Just aggression from South Plainfield, a double for Dipstick, and a 1 for 2 trade. The re-aggression here will work out. A double for Bubbles Gupper as well. A 1v3 for Chaotically. It's been 15 seconds.
I love this change of pace. The Cyber Tigers, they're tired of being on the back end. They're tired of losing things out. They're going to be aggressive here. But Chaotically, he knows how to play this game. He's already made it a 2 versus 1. And Jat.
Not going to do anything.
No, it's not going to matter. The Stinger, the operator of the West, in the hands of Jat, wins out.
Clean finish as well there for the Cyber Tigers. The aggression worked out perfectly. You talked about it. The change of pace really was required. I appreciate the aggression from Dipstick, and then Bubbles following up as well. I'm not a fan of the Paranoia going the direction it did. Probably could have gone straight towards main, maybe from a different direction. Other than that, clean finish for them. Exactly what they needed to at least put themselves in a somewhat favorable position. And reminder, the Falcons bought in that round. So looking at their economy, even though they're barely buying here, they don't have a whole lot to work with. The aggression needs to be there for them if they want to find any payoff from this investment.
They're being aggressive again, but on the other side of the map, as we see on A, there is Dipstick and the Fade together. The two initiators peeking through Cat, making sure they can be aggressive where they need to be. But Maddox has the read in the game sense. This is the B site take. Bubbles is going to be able to convert on that purchase. They're all able to run him down. The counter aggression this time for the Falcons, as they're like, all right, Cyber Tigers, you're going to be aggressive. We'll step up our pace. And that adaptation is going to give them so much.
Judge is out as well for Dipstick. Somehow they've dropped Dresky, who is looking at the absolute wrong way. 0 point to create a little bit more space. It does not, however, suppress anybody. All 3 players currently reside on the site. Maddox, the only one definitively known. Chaotically, even while seen in the backside of Boathouse, still finds the headshot onto Nick. Pyro close range, there's the judge. It becomes the jury, and therefore the executioner just the same. Looking for a follow-up, corners the CEO, of whom has been fired. The Falcons win Ascent.
That was an intense matchup between two teams near the end there. The Cyber Tigers, a great change of pace and adaptation, but a lot of Valorant and a lot of tactical FPS comes to which team can adapt their strategy the fastest. And we see the Falcons doing just that in the end. They saw the Cyber Tigers do such an amazing job when they got aggressive, when they pushed into an area that they might not be comfortable in and take space, not ask for it, but demand that space. They took it. And that's exactly what the Pennsbury Falcons were able to do on that finishing round. They countered the aggression with their own aggression and confidence.
They walk away with a fairly clean map victory, 13-2 there for the Pennsbury Falcons. They will look to go on to the Cyber Tigers map selection and close it out 2-0. But the Cyber Tigers did choose Haven. If they were to come back in this series, now is a very good time to do so. We'll see if they can do so when we come back from a break. Haven on the docket for our second map of play. It is chosen by the South Plainfield Cyber Tigers, a requisite victory for them if they want to see a third map of Icebox. I'm Time to Light, still joined alongside me is Nerd's Corner for our second map of play here in the EGFH week 3.
Chaotically floating the Yoru pick, locking it in. Yes. Oh man, I love talking about Yoru's kit and utility. I'm just gonna rag on it for a little bit. The teleports and the fake outs, as they got buffed, and I personally think that he is pretty balanced. If you can put a lot of time and energy on him, he's one of those agents that pays dividends so well. If you know a really sneaky lineup to get into something like a hell, if you could get into that little nook under there, you can clear it out with maybe a flash, then TP into there, especially with Matt, who I would hope maybe has some cheeky lineups on that site as well. There's so much coordination in play, and they're going to have that on the side of the Falcons, who are our series winners previously. They won handedly 13-2. So okay, I'm so hyped to see Chaotically right now.
I mean, I'm hyped to see them for two reasons. Number one, Chaotically was already good at the Sova. I'm scared to see how good they will play on the Yoru. I do appreciate the difference in overall agent selections, considering the compositions through and through. Again, it's Brimstone versus Omen in that controller conversation. You're seeing double duelists on both sides, but the types of duelists this time are a little different. Of course, you have the Reynas combined, but you have the Jet versus the Yoru. One, they're more for chaos, ironically picked by Chaotically. The other, they're maybe more for straight-up fragging. And then you have the Chamber. Now, it's been a little while since I've casted Valorant and seen a Chamber, but still a somewhat viable selection, depending, of course, on how you play them. I'm curious to see how Nick will bring in the recently nerfed agent to the playstyle of South Plainfield.
I think that there's a lot of capabilities with him. I think that the teleport being not restricted to height has been a pleasant change, actually. A slight buff, but in a different sense, even though he did get nerfed entirely. It works out for them as Dresky falls the peak, and this is going to give them the opening pick. The Cyber Tigers are looking a lot better, especially on their map of choice, considering they got to start on defense.
EO in the close corner, looking to make up for the fact they were the final kill in the previous map. Doesn't happen, but they do get some support from the rest of the squad. Nice dink on towards Jat, of whom is not playing the Jet this time around. But Maddox still in a 1 versus 4. The aggression is there for South Plainfield, and it works out nearly perfectly. Headhunter even finds a head for the first time in a little while, and the Cyber Tigers will open up with a pistol round victory on that defensive side.
And they're going to buy up for their bonus, hopefully start winning some of these rounds and show them why they're here to play and why they chose Haven in the first place. On the contrary side, Maddox not doing a whole, not completely popping off there, but they're all going for Stingers, which is an interesting force buy. Normally you don't see people buy up round 2. They're going to be saving the classic. You lose the pistol, you save, and then you continue pushing forward, and you get that rifle round with the enemy bonus, as Bubbles is going to find one, but instantly with the trade, Maddox is able to grab him. Dipstick falls as well, and this is where that Stinger buy is going to pay off.
Aggression working out perfectly as well. Maddox able to even encroach onto Jet, who's stuck inside of a Sky Smoke, currently just waiting inside a CT, and there's the barrel stuff from Maddox. Holding W and pressing mouse 1 on occasion, believe it or not, does indeed work, and the CEO now in a 1 versus 4 finds a first onto a hopping Dresky. Looks like a bunny jumping across your screen, but the CEO is not done just yet. Full HP, at least compared to what they bought in with. Matt on the backside of the main box, the CEO, the flasher on the corner, giving away their position, and with the Haunt finding their exact whereabouts, Maddox swings for an easy kill and a clean finish for Pensbury as they deny the conversion round victory for the Cyber Tigers.
And this is another interesting thing. Most of the time, if you force up that second round and you lose, you are going to be in a tight spot. If you lose that second round, against a full buy from the enemy team, you are going to lose at least 2 more after that in terms of the stats of Valorant. But if you're able to win out that force buy and throw the economy for a loop, the traditional save buy pattern that we see, you are going to reset the economy for your team, and on top of that the judge plays are going to come out. And the CEO wins out. The 2 shotguns going off against each other. Yeah, the economy gets all out of whack if you can win that second round with a force.
What is the CEO doing there?
Trying to recover the judge.
So, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. If I was playing in this game in all chat, I would have put a question mark right there, because that one confused me a little bit. Jat will find a return kill, but immediately get dropped through the wall, no less, chaotically with the refrag to equalize the man count once more. But what does Pensbury do here? The correct decision, at least looking at the map, is go to A, because it's currently unoccupied. The problem is if they make too much noise, it's fairly easily heard by Nick, who's just waiting inside the B site, and I think that's the case. Nick, I think, has heard at least one player in sewers, but even then, you have the option to go really any direction you please. A site does indeed seem to be the call. This should be a post plant, and the Cyber Tigers needing to retake.
The Yoru TP, I already see it. It's set up chaotically. Whether it's going to be a fake or for reality, we'll have to see. They're already setting up the crossfires with both chaotically and Drisky on either side, and I'm waiting for that Yoru outplay. I'm waiting for this pinch to become a 2-man hold with the TP. But I believe that I think they used it. They put it up as a fake to trip them up. The pinch does work out as Dripsky falls, or Dipstick falls more specifically. Trade. And Nick, he's gotten 1, he's gotten 2, but he couldn't land that final headshot. I mean, Headhunter does not always work out, but that was a really close battle between the 2 of them.
Finish works out there for Pensbury, and again, they follow up with a round victory, only losing the pistol thus far in this game. Previous map, they looked pretty clean as well, albeit a little bit more so in the earlier stages of that first half, going 5 straight without giving up a round. I couldn't even think of the adjective I was looking for. But Cyber Tigers, at this point, full buy. They have the weapons to win this round. They need to do so. If not, they're probably looking at a 4 or 5-1 scoreline to contend.
Yeah, it's once you get into that cycle, the snowball falls, it's going to be really hard for them to win out. And with Chaotically's dimensional drift pushing away the team, clearing most of A site, they're not even going to go there. The spike was all the way in sewers, but they're not even going to push through there. It's just a fake. But I think Cyber Tigers can understand that, because he didn't rotate fully there, and with no noise being made, they know where to go. Maddox is able to open things up for the Falcons as well. Jat with the trade in numbers on Dresky makes it a 4v4. Both of the Reynas still alive. And Chaotically falls.
Dipstick finds a clean kill there and is able to tailwind away. They still want to aggress though, and Maddox will shut them down because of it. A triple for Maddox in the round, on for the ace, should their team give them the opportunity. Empress popped here for the defensive side, maybe all for naught though. Jat puts Maddox down to just 1 bullet, but the clean reload giving them all the opportunities to aggress as they please. And the Cyber Tigers have no utility to force him out of position. Jat is caught in that seize, will gain their hearing and HP back, but all in due time. They're still stuck on the backside of CT and caught very easily by Matt. Even with the haunt landing, Matt finds a double. It's a full house of frags, 3 and 2 between Maddox and Matt.
This is where we start seeing that snowball. We start seeing the snowball. And like you said, if they can't win this round, they can't close things out for the Cyber Tigers, they're going to look at a 1-4, 1-5 scoreline potentially here. Definitely 1-4, unless they can pull off some crazy stuff with the Buckies. I personally love the Bucky. I think it's a very fun, cheesy gun, especially if you can hide in a corner like a little rat and play off the cheese. Find it. What was... Teleport goes off, gives away some of their positioning to the CEO, but he's going to hold strong. I mean, it worked out last time for the CEO. He was able to get them, you know, they were able to grab a judge, or at least try to grab a judge off of it. Ooh.
Oh, but it doesn't do anything. What a clean take from Pensbury. Re-aggression dare from Dipstick. Does damage, but unfortunately inconsequential to understate the obvious. Bubbles Gupper in a 1 versus 4. Multiple times we've seen 1vx's here for the Cyber Tigers, whether it be here on Haven or most especially back on Ascent. They're looking to go down 4-1 here, even with the purchase up, and not much that Bubbles can do here. Best case scenario, try and swing with a classic, find a first kill, nice double headshot on Adreski, at least giving them an opportunity back into this round. Reminder, the Yoru is still low. Shrouded step back, but before they even TP, their headshot through the wall, and Bubble Scupper taken care of. Pensbury do indeed make it 4-1.
That's such a difficult play. They're all on site. The crossfire is already set up. Spike is down. You're alone with a short range weapon. Great outplay from Bubbles, though. He was able to peek and swing out, taking out Dresky. So he's going to make it expensive, at least for them. But with Maddox and Matt, both in it's like well over 5K, 6 and 8 in creds. And chaotically, I mean, close on the back line as well with 4,400 creds. They have so much in the bank right now. It's not even going to be a problem for them. That's the thing, the snowball. It starts to go into their favor. They have the economy, they have the mental, and they all have like ultimates. They don't need to use those ultimates to secure rounds. They're just comfortable winning them. It's gonna start piling up against the Cyber Tigers.
What's the option now for the Cyber Tigers? Of course, they could just play aggressive, change the pace, but it's only a change of pace for so much time before it becomes the normal pace, and then it's easily adjusted to. The Falcons walk away with a few more rounds.
I think that is the...
Aggression could work for them. Oh, no, and Dipstick's even seen. I'm not liking their chances here. They still have the tailwind popped already, so the option to get out is certainly there, but Matt just walks in through garage and should find a fairly clean way of cutting off that cross. Good dark covers used, but the haunt now to even negate that, making things even more difficult for the Cyber Tigers, and a little bit of an over-rotation means most of mid and almost all of A is fairly clean as long as you send most of your team that general direction.
30 seconds left.
I was gonna say, you do want to change up the pace. You want to test things, different strategies out, because at the end of the day, whether it's successful or not, you're going to be adapting in one way or another. The faster you can adapt to a given strategy, the better. The fake TP goes out. They try to get a spam. Maddox finally falls. Their CEO on the backline is able to grab 2. It's 2 versus 3. The Cyber Tigers are up, but the spike needs to get planted. They don't have the time. No, they have just barely enough time.
They got it.
They have to stick it, though. Is it going to be disrupted? No, the spike gets planted. Nick with the tour de force. 1 player left, and Maddox versus the world. That Empress goes out. 3 bullets left, but that's way more than enough. None in the chamber. They have to reload. Dipstick is able to swing off it, and they're going to stay alive. It's not going to be 1-5. They did not lose that many rounds. Out with 1 player left, even though it's just 1 player, and that's not the best set of circumstances. They're still able to secure at least some weaponry for themselves.
They walk away with a round victory, most importantly, out of those engagements. A clean finish there for Dipstick as well, hearing the reload, knowing it is time to go. And they went, they saw, and they conquered, giving the Cyber Tigers their 2nd round thus far in the map, already matching their previous map's total, which is a pretty good start for them, all things considered. Pensbury still very much in this, get a spike plant, they walk away with a round loss, but
the Falcons,
you still have weapons.
The Falcons have a full economy. They're just capable of buying up. Yeah. Thankfully, though, the Cyber Tigers are going to use the Blade Storm as a eco play. So it's going to be a fairly even matchup for both these teams. No. The cheese.
Even in terms of weaponry, maybe only, though. We've seen the Judge before. Close range here on the backside of the dark cover. I believe a flash is being prepped, though. The Prowler around the corner does not see him. The Leer, however, perfectly timed. The Nightfall will find nothing but thin air, but it really didn't have to. Very clean take of a site once more. Pensbury will be in yet another post plant, this time, however, with a man advantage and the clearance of a flank just the same. The Cyber Tigers have to run the gauntlet just to get back onto the site, much less kill them and defuse the spike.
They're spread out really well. They're confident in their plays. They know that they just need to hold that spike, and they've planted it for long as well with 2 players there. There's that null command going out. Dipstick finds Maddox. You know, you don't have those movement errors. He's gotten 2. He's looking to see if anyone's back there. The tap goes out, but Matt's the one to win. Dresky falls, hiding in the corner, but they just need to keep the spike alive. Doesn't matter if they live or die, the spike needs to stay there, and there's no time. Oh, Pyro gets Jat near the end there. The dismiss out into the enemy line of sight does not work for them. That's going to be 5 rounds up for the Falcons.
And another clean finish there for Pensbury. Even though everybody but one player dies, they hold the site. They do so even while losing that early advantage. Kudos to Dipstick, by the way. Clean opening double kill. The problem is, as a team, the Cyber Tigers don't fully clear the site. Maddox is able to just cleanly find a kill. Actually, I believe that was Matt on the fade. But either way, it is still the all-important kill, denying the defuse, allowing the long players to still hold, and they just drop Dipstick right off the bat. A following opening kill, and oh my goodness, Jat's about to walk straight to a crossfire. They are so dead. So very dead.
Touch unfortunate there. They are trying to change the pace, and I appreciate that a lot. But if it doesn't work out for them, it doesn't work out for them. Being aggressive unnecessarily is hard. The headhunter just missing Pyro's beautiful, beautiful hat.
Oh, he's about to get flagged. I don't think CEO knows about it. He didn't. He was somewhat aware of the possibility, but still dropped by Maddox, and now Bubbles in a 1 versus 3. They think it's a flank considering Bubbles was able to drop out the Yoru earlier, but as soon as Maddox sees him, there's the turn of attention, but still a headshot onto Maddox. Possibility still here for Bubbles Gupper. The problem is they do not have all that much health. They do have a full kit of utility, including their ultimate, but it may be inconsequential to the overall round. Lineups are available. Orbital Strike is just the same. That should very well do it on the round itself. Bubbles on just 7 health. A following dark cover, but it will not matter. South Plainfield will be cut away once more.
Ooh.
Matt dies, but it's not going to change the outcome. It's a round victory for the Falcons once more, but Pyro dies, so there are caveats there for the Cyber Tigers.
Bubbles Gupper 6, full name, respect on it as well. An amazing retake there, solo, able to grab 2, and to say that utility utilization was nothing but, it was perfect. It was just a touch unfortunate in the timing. They need to keep that spike alive and healthy, and you win out when you're playing objective over just raw frag potential. But that's the thing. I just want to commend Bubble Guppers on their utility. They got the Fade Prowler went to the left side, but they went to the right. They TP'd over there as we see a pinstripe kill line.
I know
And it's not stopping either. Matt finds Jat, Dipstick an immediate refrag. There is the neural theft used, however. So Falcons know exactly where all 3 members of the Cyber Tigers are, but still cannot find the kills onto them. The CEO from the far side able to find the kill and put it into a 2 versus 3. Post-plant scenario again here for the Falcons. They again have that man disadvantage similar to that of a few rounds ago, but this time they're onto a fairly enclosed site. The CEO, a flash around the corner, should not do all that much and doesn't. Matt able to find the kill and equalize that man count once more. Dipstick a return, and Matt now left alone. The updraft from Dipstick absolutely throwing off Matt in every single sense of the word. The haunt over top. Dipstick still able to do a decent bit of damage and find the kill as well. The differentiation of height wins it for the Jets as they rain hellfire from above and give the Cyber Tigers their 3rd.
Their 3rd victory. I mean, they're looking a lot better on this map. It is their pick, and they are confident on it. And on the B site retake, it's one of the easier sites to retake specifically because of that pinch. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them as the CEO fell relatively quickly, but Bubbles Gupper and Dipstick able to push together and bamboozle their opponents. Some good outplays individually by Dipstick to allow Bubbles Gupper to go for the half defuse and apply pressure to the final player. And again, that pressure, pros don't fake. You got to play that objective and keep them alive as long as possible. We get to see a little bit more of this beautiful map. A fun teddy bear overlooking what we just saw on that B site.
Aggression again here for the Falcons. Lear around the corner. That is not shot out, so the CEO is still stuck in this corner, and the Haunt sees them. They shoot the flash and are still stuck. Even with the 0 point going down, it shouldn't do all that much, and 3 pistol kills in the span of about 3 seconds means a 5 versus 2, and weapons now available here for the Falcons. Dipstick inside of the sky smoke shouldn't be able to do all that much from it. Even caught inside of the seas, they can't hear a dang thing, they can't do a dang thing, they can barely even see a dang thing with that Prowler coming around the corner, and they're still stuck in this corner. corner. The cloudburst around that far side should give away the fact they're stuck here. A consolation kill is there. That's about all she wrote for it. Maddox a double, Matt a double, and the Falcons with a 7th round off the back of pistols only.
Just running in there.
Finish for them.
It's the aggression. It's the change of their dynamic. They ran onto that A site and took the space that they needed, confident in their play style. And that's how you see Thrifties come about. And once they got onto the site, 5 against 3 for the retake, they just had to hold their crosses. They didn't really have to worry about it. They played the basic standard Valorant. That's all you got to do. Hold onto that site and make sure that if anyone comes in, you're not over peeking or aggressing. You have the pinches set up, one in graffiti, one in hell, maybe someone covering shorts and long, but and the 5th player just roaming around the sites to make sure that everyone stays alive, doubling up on a particular angle as Nick is solo holding this cheeky play. But this is where we see that height come into play as well, as Nick is able to TP away.
Theo caught with utility out though. Again, the opening kill, and here's the aggression coming through from the Falcons once more. Maddox drops Dipstick very cleanly out of contention, and the site again is taken out. The previous round, a 5v2 and a post plant. This time around, it's a 5v3. The Cyber Tigers do not have all that much to work with either. It is utility and pistols. That's about all she wrote there for South Plainfield. And at this point, South Plainfield, you just need to do damage. The Falcons cannot walk out of this round with full utility and weapons across the board. I mean, the next round's the final round of the half, so it's fairly inconsequential anyway. From the shadows being prepped by Bubble Guppers, thought better of, but it really will not matter. The spray around the corner, it is still the opening kill going the way of Matt. A follow-up as well onto Jet, and Nick with 5 HP left in a 1 versus 5. They find a single kill, so it's better than honestly we originally expected, but it's still a 3k for the Fade and an 8th for the Falcons. When
the hunter gets hunted, it's an intense game. 3 rounds up. I mean, it's the last round before the switch. They're on a roll for the Falcons. Everyone's going to be buying up. CEO going for the Odin and the Op on Dipstick. They're going to go for a heavily invested weaponry. Not as much utility, though. Oh, no, going for the more conservative Vandal. I respect the shift of pace. I just think that at the end of the day, it is difficult to go up against a team that has such an easy time with not only being aggressive, but also reads into your plays and adapts from them relatively quickly. We see these defaults, that we've done these defaults before, but they're expecting something different, right? They're expecting something, so they're going for a default rather than a full front A push like they did the past 2 rounds. They're changing up the way that they play, and that is going to throw them into some chaos, as chaotically as it sounds, as chaotically as it is, chaotically gets a kill. Chaos, chaos, chaos.
4v3, another post plant, this time on the C site. They fought to go in a different direction. Cyber Tigers, again, forced to retake. They do have weapons this time around, however, they have limited time and limited utility. Jet has utility, really incumbent upon them finding kills. A hold from mid is still being locked down, so they need to clear out that flank possibility before even encroaching on the site. And the problem is, I don't think they're even fully aware of it. They maybe are now. Maddox still walking from behind will find a first, clean onto a second, and Jet, a 1 versus 4, won't even find a single kill. 9-3 there for the Falcons. The only hope for the Cyber Tigers is that the curse comes through and they can send it to Icebox.
I was gonna ask, do you believe in curses? I always like to talk about that, but
okay. Here's my spiel in the 9-3 curse.
Oh, you have a spiel.
It is not a curse. I have a spiel.
It's not a curse. It's a blessing.
No, 9-3 curse is how a normal match should split back and forth because of pistol rounds, conversion rounds, bonus rounds, and how gun rounds split between 2 teams. It is an understandable extreme for a team to come back from. If you talk about an 8-4 comeback, it's not really a comeback, is it? It's just an 8-4 return. A 10-2 comeback happens significantly less, but it's still possible, but it doesn't happen as often as 9-3. So it's not a curse, it's just the largest extreme of which is somewhat normal for a team to come back from.
Wow, I mean, that is a very analytical approach. I went with the emotional one of saying that I feel as though sometimes when you switch sides, you reset that mental, and on top of that, you have a whole different perspective on how to play the game, especially because you're on either the side that you favor or on the downswing on a side that you don't favor, and you're capable of not only changing up and adapting that strategy, but also coming together as a team and communicating more in that dire time of need. Because I see 9-3 curses and 9-3 comebacks most of the time happen when you are down by a series. I see a lot of that when you're down a series, you're able to push forward, and we see that sort of here as Chaotically is the only player alive for the Falcons in a 1 versus 2, as the Cyber Tigers are doing a great job on this post plant. We'll see if Chaotically is able to win out. They're not, and we'll start seeing the rounds ticking in the favor of the Tigers right here.
Whichever school of thought the Cyber Tigers follow, it's working out for them, bringing in that pistol round victory and giving themselves a better chance of bringing things back. Two things we haven't really noted thus far. Maddox and Matt, they combined have 35 kills in 13 rounds. Wow. So that happened. I don't know how that happened, but, you know, well done, I suppose. The Falcons on the other side, the rest of the squad at least, really not showing up as much. Granted, it is still 9-4. They haven't really been given all that much opportunities considering how much individually they've popped off. But still, conversation point to be.
I will also add that this is the Cyber Tigers on attack, and I would say that out of all these maps, even though the game itself by nature is slightly defender sided, as they're, you know, they need to be a bit more passive, I think this map and its design does benefit attack. Just like Lotus, it's a 3-site map, which means that they can fake, they can rotate, and they can do so much more and get creative in different ways as Dipstick pushes forward, taking down Chaotically.
3v5, we've seen these situations before, but more often than not it's the Falcons. With 5, Dresky up in heaven has a classic, and that's about it. They try to shoot towards the plant spot, but it doesn't do a whole lot. Haunt finds 3 players, so information certainly there, just not onto the flank of Dipstick, of whom resides in a link and is just aggressing with absolutely no regard for human or otherwise life. Fairly clean paranoia lands. No ammo left for Dresky. I was really hoping for the knife. Doesn't come through. CEO finishes the round, and Cyber Tigers win the conversion, contrary to that of the first half.
And this is where you started talking about, like, oh, the natural swing of things. They win the first one, and from there, this is where the start of the comeback is. So, I mean, I agree, the 9-3, maybe the 9-3 curse or the 9-3, the lowest point of no return, right? The average median of, all right, of rounds needed to be won in the first half to have a successful comeback. But, I mean, it is going to be the first gun round, although it is broken because of some buys from the Falcons side. Since it's going to be a broken buy for both sides, they're fairly evenly matched, so it can go either way. But again, the Cyber Tigers on the attack, on the prowl, looking to get aggressive here.
I like the retreat from Max. The problem is hanging Dresky out to dry, never the most advisable thing when you could have had a 5v3 or even a 4v3 at that point. The 1-for-1 trade does indeed come through there for the Cyber Tigers. Line up and over. That comes from Pyro. This will be an incendiary that lands towards the back corner of main. Chaotically, also up in heaven, wants to drop but wants to wait for the rest of the team to do so. That flash goes towards main to throw off that possible long line of sight, and the drop comes through. 2-for-1 trade. This time finally favoring the Falcons, but it's immediately met back the other way. The TP towards the backside of hell. Bubbles still able to find the kill off the back of it. It's down to Matt, who finds both as well. The 3-round burst with the stinger, and the round goes the way of the Falcons as they finally reach double digits.
And that is going to be 2 rounds away from match point. The threat of it looming over the Cyber Tigers. They had a great job winning that pistol in the bonus, but are they going to be able to consistently push forward? It is going to be the first rifle round for both sides. Because they were able to win 2 rounds in a row, the pistol and the bonus, they have a fairly stacked economy here for the Cyber Tigers. But the same thing can be said about the Falcons. They have some bonus from the previous rounds, especially Chaotically staying on that Marshall. Or, wait, no, I thought Chaotically had fallen. No, just purchasing up a Marshall for themselves to be in line with their team, whereas everyone else goes up and buys Vandals. It's going to be the rifle round for both teams. And we saw how well the Cyber Tigers were able to play out in this opening and how well the Falcons played out throughout the previous rounds, the previous half of this map. So it's going to be a fairly contested battle as the site take commences.
Rescue taking a little bit too long to actually try to engage. Maddox again finds a kill, and this time dismisses away without baiting their teammates. Chaotically, possible aggression. There's the bait, flash onto the site. They actually do shoot it. That gives away 2 different positions on the site itself. Bubbles on the back side has some help, but it's the CEO with a 3K, and a clean finish there for the Cyber Tigers. 4 players stay alive. They take the site, they hold it, they walk away with a round victory exactly as they needed to stay in this map.
And the gap is closing, only 4 rounds. It was 5. Now 4, they keep it at 4, and they only have 2 more rounds to gamble with, to have. They only have 2 rounds to play around with, and if they lose them, then that's going to be match points. It's going to be difficult for them to come back. That being said, they do have a fully stacked buy. Dipstick going for that Blade Storm as an eco play, but Pyro, taking a page out of the Rats playbook, is able to find one Jat with the trade instantly on Pyro. So not going to be left out there alone.
This is definitely favoring the Falcons, though. The closer these margins get in terms of players alive, the easier it is for lesser weaponry to come back in rounds, and the Falcons know that. They're just looking for kills, they're looking for damage, they're looking for anything that they can put in their favor, because a 4 versus 3 already favors them. The only caveat, they really just don't have the weapons to compete at long range, unless you, of course, count Matt's Marshall in that conversation. Now, what do the Cyber Tigers do? Obviously, you can go back towards C. The problem is long range against a Marshall, not the most advisable of trades. Nice haunt that goes behind Matt, by the way. Unfortunate timing on that jump throw, but still, it seems like the Cyber Tigers want to go C, just they want to split it. Garage and long seems to be the call for South Plainfield.
Slow and steady. They do have that ultimate, I mean, I personally think Omen's ultimate from the shadows is really useful, especially as a counter if you're on a site and you don't want some information to go out against you. If there's a haunt that goes out, but the haunt doesn't go out, the Nightfall does instead, to slow them in their tracks. And it's about to be 15 seconds left. It's going to start ticking down little by little. They need to get the plant off, but Maddox is able to hold it off. Yeah, no, there's no time.
Wait a second.
Oh!
I don't know if they have enough time for this. Does he have spike down to time?
No,
he missed.
He doesn't.
He missed.
But the plant money is going to go into their favor, so at least they're going to have some economy.
Nerds, you want to hear a nerd moment?
Sure. Yeah, I love the nerdy. I love the nerd stuff.
If his From the Shadows goes 2 millimeters in any other direction to get off of that high ground, he lands that with 4.1 seconds, and he gets a spike plant. But instead, he lands on top of the boxes, drops off, and takes him a whole extra, maybe full second, and doesn't even start planting the spike until there's less than 3 seconds left.
I was gonna comment.
So
why not go to the closer site B if you're gonna be going for that like Hail Mary play? You're already gonna be in a 1v4. Why not go B on low ground? Why A on the box? I thought that they were just trying to get away, but yeah, I think it was just a misplay there. The spray down goes, and there's the pinstripe.
It's another 2 for 1, and Dresky has a flank as well. This should catch at least one player off. The CEO seems to be relatively aware of the possibility, but shouldn't clear this corner. Doesn't, and dies. Dresky throws the neural theft as well, just to try and gain any whereabouts. A full swing from Nick. Looks like he's moonwalking across your screen, but Jack caught off guard, too focused on the window to look the opposite direction. The 180-degree switch gives chaotically the kill, and Pensbury match point.
That's match points. They're able to come back in at least a couple more rounds, but with 6-round difference right now, it's going to be difficult for the Cyber Tigers. Very possible, as we got to see in the earlier half. They had some of that confidence, they had some of that potential, but it didn't work out in the long run. The slight, very small mistake from Omen, like you were talking about, the milliseconds, the small little differences that work out bad. Oh wow, this crosshair.
What is that crosshair?
I think it was more of a meme than anything else, but as you can see, it doesn't work out as well for them. The null command goes out to hopefully keep the Cyber Tigers alive and living in this game. But Matt, knowing not to aggress solo and get caught out in the open, falls back. The CEO gets the plant down, not only to charge that ultimate a bit more, but also to get some of that pressure on the Falcons.
And the CEO didn't seem mad as well. Dipstick stuck on the high ground. The drop down will cost them. There was even an orbital strike just to add some redundancy. That'll do it. That's the series. Clean 2-0 for the Pensbury Falcons. They walk away with a 12 or 13-2 and then 13-6 victory between Ascent and Haven. That's unfortunate.
Well, you can't say the Cyber Tigers did not go out without a fight. They didn't go down that easily, getting 6 rounds in this half. Unfortunately, only 2 in Ascent, but they did step it up in Haven, and I'm excited to see more from them. We did see players like Dipstick and Jat do an amazing job in their respective roles as the duelists and really pushing in there. But I think that it is just a touch unfortunate when you have someone like Maddox and Matt playing on such intense and really powerful characters, being Reyna and Fade. I mean, I know a lot of Fades that can just solo carry games, so... And same thing with Reyna as well. The potential there is strong. It just is unfortunate.
Well, would you say, a serious question for you, more of a joke, but serious question for you, with the Cyber Tigers losing this series 2-0, would you say they got declawed because they're Tigers, or decoded because they're Cyber?
You know, they declawed and decoded. A little bit of both. They declawed the Cyber Tigers, and to declaw them, they needed to decode them. To decode them, they needed to claw them. Declaw, decode, Dakota, the game over.
That's a lot of nouns. We're gonna throw it to a break. We have a final series on the cards. Now there's a very long break between now and then. It's about 3:45 Central or 4:45 Eastern. Our final game is scheduled for 7:30 Eastern.
Ooh.
If you'd like to stick around, you're more than welcome to. I don't know any other stream that's heading up, but I lied. We have an interview. Forgot about those. When we come back, we have an interview. Then we have a very long break before our final series. We'll see you in a little bit. 2-0 victory for the Pensbury High School Falcons over top of the South Plainfield High School Cyber Tigers in our third week of the EGFH. I'm Time to Light. Join alongside me is Nerds Corner, and in for an interview with us from the Pensbury Falcons themselves is Dresky. Now, Dresky, opening question as we always do. How do you feel after the 2-0 victory? It was a fairly clean start and even better finish in the later stages of Haven. Give me your thoughts as it concluded.
In the first round, we kind of, fell a bit apart, but that's just a pistol. So we just recollected ourselves and got back up to the point of 4-1, and we just kept moving on. And it worked out. And on Ascent, we just said, ball it, and we were good. And it was perfect for us. We did really well. All did our part. And we ended up getting a 2-0.
obviously you guys seem to have a little bit more consistency, and the team play was there. The coordination as well, especially on Ascent. You knew exactly what you wanted to do, who needed to do what during it, and what, and most importantly, when they needed to do it. Talk to me about how you coordinate your setups, who's IGLing, what you guys set up on a consistent basis.
In all honesty, we do not have an IGL. We all give our own opinions and ideas to try and secure the round just so we can win the game. But I will say Maddox does make the most of the calls, and it's been working all the time. He's a great player, and it's just been phenomenal to play with him.
And he's just casually top fragging.
Yeah, I was about to add, you guys don't have a set IGL, you kind of just all are shot calling. Have you guys played as a team for a very long time that you are comfortable to do so?
We played last season and we kind of fell apart, and now we're back and we're ready to, hit this win. So we've been playing for about, how long is it? It's been since what? Season started in October or August? We've been playing for about
7 months.
Yeah, 6.5 months.
So
it's been fine.
So wait, and you guys don't have a set IGL, you guys are just all playing together. Can you run me through at least a round or a thought process of how you guys play things out? Like on Ascent, there was a lot of rounds where Maddox was leading the charge in on a main. He was able to control a lot of space. Do you guys have, if Maddox goes down, do they still make calls, or how does that really play out?
If Maddox goes down, he doesn't really stop coming. He keeps trying to make a play around us, and we will also call the shots as well.
Mm-hmm.
So say if we are going in A main and Maddox dies, we will still play around each other. Maddox will be quiet for a bit and wait for it to die down. So when we have that moment where we took the site, we're playing bomb, he will say certain things like, I had one smoke left when I was hiding in hell, and he told me to use it. I was like, are you sure? And he said 100%. Yeah. I was like, all right, I'll do it. So we just let it go. We won that round too, so it's fine.
Wow, the trust in the teammates. Yeah.
Calling from the grave. I appreciate the setup, and I love the dynamic of IGLing where you don't have one specific setup. My final question for you on Haven, there were signs of life from the Cyber Tigers, especially in the earlier part of that second half, but as soon as the pistol and conversion round went by, you guys seemed to grab your footing. Talk to me about how you recuperate your losses, especially when it can be so dire as, well, we saw a 9-5 scoreline.
Well, we don't really take it that seriously if we lose. We call out what our mistakes are, and we try and see if we can improve on that just by that one round. Anything that we lose, we always focus to get better on, and it's completely fine after that. We start winning, it's fine. We start losing, we just see what we need to work on to improve.
Who would have thought identifying your mistakes and fixing them will lead to round victories? Thank you very much, Dresky. Final question for you before we send you on your way, as we always do here in the EGFH. Anybody you want to shout out? Any final thoughts on the series? Or literally anything you want to say that isn't weird or mean, the floor is yours.
I'd like to shout out every player in this lobby and my coach, Sanchez, for giving me this opportunity to play, and the fact that they were pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. That Haven game when they tried to knife me was pretty good, and it made me laugh a little bit. Even though we lost that round, it was like they were playing for pretty much fun, but it was nice. It was nice.
We appreciate the hilarity and, of course, the very good times, as much as the strategic insight and your time, of course. Dresky, thank you very much for joining us, and again, congratulations on the victory. Well, nerds, before we move things on, for you, any final thoughts in the series, considering it was a fairly quick one? Overall, 26-8. Didn't look like the Cyber Tigers could do much to compete, but there were still signs of life on a consistent basis from them, especially in the later stages of Haven. I
personally just want to comment on the camaraderie between the two teams. As you heard from Dresky in that interview, guys, he's super... the level-headedness for their team, but also the ability for them to just be able to be humble in this situation and be good sports about it, shouting out the enemy team and the pointing out funny moments and really respecting each other. That's what we're all about here at EGFC and EGFH, currently at EGFH. I think it's good to hear and it's good to see, and it warms my heart.
A nice breath of fresh air as spring is very soon upon us in our spring semester, even though honestly most of it's really played in winter, but that's a whole different point. We'll move on, speaking of which, to our next series. Now again, our next series isn't for like 2.5 hours, so if you want to go turn on another Twitch stream, go, I don't know, eat dinner, grab something to eat, or just drink water, because people don't do that enough, I suggest it. The floor and the time is all yours. We'll be back here at about 7:30 Eastern for our final series of the night before we move on to the rest of the EGFH for the rest of the week. We'll see you in a lot of it. There's a decent
A lot of it?
A lot of it.